Welcome to the Talking Shop podcast, where I'm here to share lessons and experiences in sports performance and professional development. My name is Matt Tomets, and I'm your host. Welcome to episode 54 of TSP, Content Creation and Social Media Fame, How It Relates to Coaching. So this is a combination of my little social media rant and some stuff I've been thinking on a while now that we're in quarantine and I have nothing else to do than, work on my own stuff and consume content all day. But I think it's very important because it's become very popular nowadays to create content. Not that that's a bad thing, but I think it's important to reflect on the content we create and the content we consume and how it impacts the field that we're all in and the field that we love, and that is sports performance and everything related to it. So I just want to get some technicalities and definitions out of the way just for operational sake. And content creators, I got this, I forgot where I got this definition from, but this would be someone who makes their living completely on making content, which I think is absolutely crazy that someone can do. I don't know, YouTube, social media, all that different kind of stuff with all the ad revenues and the sponsorships and whatever it may be. And that'd be pretty cool. More power to them. Influencers, or no, that would be the definition of an influencer. Sorry. Someone that makes their full living on social media. Social media popularity, fame, that would be people with, I don't know, let's say 5,000 plus, 10,000 plus followers. I think that's a lot to me, But just to talk a little bit about my experiences, I forgot it was my junior year of undergrad. So what was that, 4 years ago? And I wanted to make a blog. This is before, video content became super popular, which that's what I believe is dominating social media and everything like that right now. But I started with the blog because I want to make content because Eric Cressy was probably the biggest person I try to emulate, that I idolized. Was his blog was really popular, and you can get a lot of quality content in a well-written blog, and that's what I went for it. And then that kind of died out, and then I tried YouTube videos, not for TSP, the Talking Shop podcast, just a bunch of just random stuff I don't even know looking back. And now I have a podcast and I have my coaching page and stuff like that. So I've been doing this for a little bit, and like I said, I'm a content consumer just like all of you guys. So I think that I have an interesting perspective because I've been giving this content creation a go for a little bit now. Not full time, not as intense as the people that I'm referencing, who some people do literally do it for a living, but probably more than the average bear. And this is a disclaimer that I'm not hating on all of social media. There's a lot of content and a lot of creators that I think deserve more fame, that I think put out really good, high quality content. And I myself learn a ton from YouTube, from podcasts, from social media and stuff like that. But I think it's overwhelmingly negative when you think about it and analyze it and really critique it. And I think that there's a lot of things that could be done better. And I want to kind of just share a little reflection to get you guys thinking, and kind of tie it back to sports performance, being practitioners, and how you can get the most out of my little critique and my little reflection. So this absolutely blows my mind, and I didn't want to search for a GIF or a YouTube video or a clip or a screenshot or whatever it may be of just some of this crazy stuff, because it would have just made me more agitated. But I guess I'll start with the flashy drills. And it blows my mind. And I've had this talk with people high up in Power 5 sports performance that agree with me. Some of my recent phone calls I've been having. Blows my mind. Next time you go to your Instagram Explore page, where it's just like all the random posts and whatnot that are like relevant to you or whatever, click on all of the exercises, right? Some dude demonstrating a drill. He's got banded this, chained that, and he's doing all this box jumping and da-da-da, whatever BS. And look at the caption. Fire emoji. I mean, I use the fire emoji, but fire emoji. banded contra ipsilateral, explosive, flyby, tuck jump, spinning drill rep thing, you know? And it's just like, dude, have you ever put those words down on a program before? Have you ever had an athlete do that besides yourself? Have you ever done that longitudinally in a program? What is the regression of that? What is the progression of that? You know? Now, I would understand maybe if you have some super high, you know, elite athlete. Oh, I've had little Johnny since he was an 8th grader. He's been training with me for 10 years. Yeah, you can get a little creative. And this bothers me because you're creating content for coaches to consume to become better coaches or practitioner, whatever field of sports performance it may be. And that is not going to make them better. And it's not going to make you better because that's not something you actually do. And if you feel personally attacked by this, I want you to send me a picture of a program for one of your clients, one of your everyday clients like all of us have in that program, and them actually doing it. So there's all these flashy drills because that's what's cool, because people look at it and people like it, and they put it in their Instagram saved and their Twitter likes and whatever it may be, just in the back of their mind, a little bit of dopamine. It's like, oh wow, that's so novel, that's so cool, I'm going to use it in my program one day. And have you? And another disclaimer, I'm only critiquing all this stuff because I used to believe all of this stuff. You know, I've learned from my naivety. It's just going to sit in your Twitter likes and Instagram save because it's not realistic, it's not applicable, it's not for you as a practitioner to make yourself better. And I think that's one of the few things that this really comes down to is people are putting out content not for the betterment of everyone else, but for their own likes, followers, whatever it may be. And I think I beat that horse fair enough dead for flashy drills, but I hope you get the point. Next, pro athletes. And, you know, maybe maybe this is me just being salty, that, you know, my mom is 4'11", my dad's 5'8", and I somehow got to be 6 feet, and I played D2 baseball in the middle of nowhere, Missouri. Yeah. Let me be salty about that. Just kidding. I had an awesome time. But there's all of these pro athletes, specifically on YouTube, and they're making content. And I hear them trying to explain these things, whether it's their own workouts, whether it's a special movement they do in training, whether it's something specific about their sport. Cool. You get a lesson with the other millions of people that watch that video, hundreds of thousands of that specific thing about that topic from your idol. Cool. It's an awesome platform. Great. But if you know anything about coaching, it just like grinds my gears, where it's like 17 different internal cues. And it's just like so obvious if you really like sit and think about it. They've never coached someone in their entire life. They've never dealt with a youth athlete, 7 to 9 years old. They never dealt with a middle school athlete. They've never dealt with a high school athlete or a college athlete. Yeah, they could help out their teammates. Great. But are you coaching professional athletes that are your teammates? I don't think so. I think you're coaching the prior 3, 4 youth, middle school, high school, college athletes. And just think about, literally, if you showed them that video, would that make sense to them? If you were to literally get up and do everything they were doing, like I watched one today. I'm on a little CrossFit binge. Don't judge me. Pretty effective workouts, but that's a whole different thing. And they were talking about handstand push-ups, if you know what that is. It's where you do a handstand against the wall, you go down, touch out the ground, push back up. Great. And they were talking about, and this is a CrossFit Games athlete, and they were talking about, so I want you to do like a little tripod regression to start. I want you to turn on your lats. So I'm on my hands and my head, and I just start squeezing my lats. So you're gonna turn on your lats and your shoulders to stabilize yourself. Make sure all of the weight's not on your head. And then I really want you to focus on your midline, right? Bringing your hips even. So then you have your core, your back, your lats, and your shoulders all tight, ready to go, supporting you. And this is, minute 1 of this like 7-minute video, whatever. And I'm just over here like, if I were to be doing these handstand push-ups right now, I would be so lost. And this was partly inspired by one of Nick Winkelman's Instagram posts, where it's like, if you want your athletes to stop being confused, stop giving them more than one cue. Now, I'm going to meet that halfway, that quote halfway, as I believe most content you should meet halfway. But if it's all this internal stuff, and the whole internal versus external cue debate, I'm not going to get into that. But it's different making content for YouTube as opposed to actually working with an athlete, where you get real-time feedback. You can see their reps, progress from rep to rep, et cetera, et cetera. Like I said, this isn't all to be set in stone. This is all just for perspective and reflecting. But just like, think about how you would describe it versus how they're describing it, and think about how like someone who you look up to as a really good coach would describe it. And then watch another, pro athlete, try to describe that same drill or whatever it may be, and it's like, watching someone who's not a really good coach is not going to make me a better coach, besides learning what not to do. And is there value in that? Yeah, but only if you realize it. And like I said, if we consume content partly for leisure, right? I'm not trying to say that you can't consume content leisurely, and it's cool to watch these athletes not under the lights, when they're being personal and they're sharing insight. Like I said, part of my disclaimer, I'm not trying to hate on all social media. But when you're consuming content with the intent for becoming a better coach, a better practitioner in whatever, facet of sports performance it is, wouldn't you want to learn from people that are really good practitioners in whatever facet of sports performance you're in? So I don't want to give away the rest of my talk, but that's just, pro athletes done. Inauthenticity. Oh my gosh. Now I'm really going to get heated. Okay. The amount of titles that I see of content, whether it's the names of these crazy drills or YouTube videos or podcast names, I want to scream, oh my gosh. In all caps, right? All caps, of course, because if I wasn't being screamed at through my computer, why else would I listen to it or click on it? The one drill you need to blow up your shoulders, right? If it's something bodybuilding related. Get wider shoulders in 7 days' time. The one secret that catapulted me from regional workouts to the CrossFit Games or the Open, whatever it may be, whatever examples. Or okay, whatever, that's done. So I just want you to think about the content, the tweets, whatever it may be, how people are marketing their stuff, right? Are they marketing their stuff as this one-stop shop, the secret that no one else has, that the shortcut, whatever it may be? And I just think that that's so inauthentic, which my next slide, I'm not going to give it away. And so that's just like the inauthenticity, where people are going for just likes and clicks and follows. And this is another part of my social media rant where, at the end of the day, we are doing this for likes. I create content to get likes, to get followers, because that is feedback of me doing something right. if I made this and no one listened to it, no one clicked on it, no one engaged with it, then I'm just wasting my own time, you know? So I'm making this for a purpose, and that is a form of feedback, right? That I know that people are actually consuming it. But if you're marketing it inauthentically and you're selling it for something that it's truly not, then like I said, I believe that's inauthentic. And my last part about what absolutely blows my mind, and then I'll move on, is the triviality of it. Some of this stuff that people put out there, and this is on their own time, great, you can do whatever the heck you want. But and it's cool because they're pro athletes, right, or whatever, or it's people that you really look up to, and they're inviting you into their life, and that's one thing that's really cool about social media, right? The farther I get into my rant, I don't want this to be me just being anti-social media. Like I said, I consume a lot of this content. I think it's really cool. I think it's really neat that people are open enough to share that part of their life. And I forgot, I was watching Hot Ones. If you guys know what that is, I've been on a Hot Ones binge, and I was very interested. Just the more I watched, when he does Explain That Gram, if you guys know what I'm talking about, on the fifth hottest wing, he takes like 3 just interesting pictures from their Instagram. How many celebrities are not on any social media at all? Like Scarlett Johansson, I think, is one of them. Paul Rudd might be one of them, if you know those names. It just like kind of blew my mind, and I forgot who it was, but they said that privacy is going to be the thing of the future. Just how was it? No, not Will Smith. I don't think he was on there. There was some actor that only got a specific like type of role in movies. Little tangent really quick. There was an actor that only got a specific type of role in movies, and he was frustrated because they knew in his home life, and I'm making this up for the example. Family Guy, funny, personal, whatever it may be, and those were the only roles that he got, and that was really frustrating because he said that if he had a little bit more privacy and people didn't know what he was like in his home life, and people didn't already have this image of him in his head, he could get potentially a wider variety of roles. So I thought it was an interesting little story. And I believe that privacy will be the thing of the future. Can social media content be created for good? Yes. I don't want to overstate how awesome it can be. And I think that a lot of people get a lot of good things out of social media professionally, whether it gets their content and their name in front of the eyes of people that eventually they get a job with, or whatever it may be, whatever. But that, people are putting out this content. Oh, I literally saw it on YouTube before. I didn't click on it, but it was on my YouTube screen. My super average morning routine. And they made like this 12-minute video based on what they do in the morning when they wake up. And I'm just over here like, really? Is that what people want nowadays? Now, like I said, it's cool. It was a very popular athlete. You get insight into their lives, or just when people get so, it's just like how trivial some of the stuff they produce are, where it's like these like such little minute stuff where it's like, if you were to make a video for your colleagues, would that be a video for your colleagues? If you were to make a video for your fam, like would that qualify as like worthy for your family, worth their time, like whatever. So I'm done with what blows my mind. I hope my point got across. Now, this is one of the 2 main slides. I think there's 6. This is slide 4. Don't hate me if I'm wrong. This is what's overhyped and underdelivered, and this is how I describe it. So, overhyped. What is always said that makes a good coach, right? Emotional intelligence, adaptability. People, EQ, adaptability, and just like things like that, soft skills, whatever it may be. I've heard multiple times that, oh, I can teach you how to write programs. I can't teach you how to relate to people, right? I can't teach you how to bring the energy every day and stuff like that. So I believe that that's overhyped. Now, here's what's underdelivered. What blows up on social media? Flashy drills that are never going to be put in programs. The newest programming scheme, whatever. A fancy new way to add bands and chains for your back squat. Pro athletes describing, coaching, teaching stuff that is never going to work in the real world. But like I said, that's what blows up. And that's what's like overhyped and underdelivered is, what makes a good coach, a good practitioner, all of these things. It's overhyped because we always talked about it. Oh my gosh. Like I've heard that so much, but it's underdelivered because that's not the content that's out there. Just like when Brett Bartholomew's Conscious Coaching came out. Coaching Emotional Intelligence. Oh my gosh. Finally. Awesome book. Highly recommend it. Love his content. Jeremy Boone, if you know the name, Athlete by Design, Leadership Kit, all crazy good stuff. He has, I don't even know how many followers, maybe like 1,000 something, 2,000, 3,000 something followers. He has a TED Talk. That's how good his stuff is, right? That's how big his name is if you understand kind of the circle that he's in. And then the first banded drill crazy thing I see has like 100,000 views, and I'm over here like something is not right here. Like something is definitely not right. And why is there this disconnect, right, between what's always preached and what I believe truly makes someone a better practitioner is those soft skills, those things you get with experience, right? Things that you can't just like watch in a 60-second clip or whatever it may be. Now, like I said, there's a lot of content I really like. Podcasts, you can go a little bit more in depth. There are, informational infographics and stuff like that. What I want you guys to be big boys, big girls, be able to critique my critique, right? Critique your social media and figure out kind of what fits into these different sections of social media content I'm describing. But why is there this disconnect? I believe that there's this disconnect because it's part of human nature. People like novelty, people like cool, people like exciting, people like feeling like they belong and feeling like they can relate to other people. And they're like, oh my gosh, like I get that, But there's also the disconnect because what makes a good coach isn't sexy. You don't want to sit and watch some dude talk about the intricacies of communicating with a middle school athlete. But is that like half of your clientele? Yeah. And it like I get it, right? I've been there and done that. This is why I have the points of view that I have. And I want you to think on these questions, right? I think this is super important. And if you have similar responses, I love to hear them. If you have different ones, I love to hear them. I think this is interesting to talk about. And even just critiquing social media, like critical thinking, getting down to it, reflecting, trying to realize, why am I consuming content? What am I actually getting stuff out of? Why am I creating content? What kind of content am I putting out there? The stuff that's going to make me a better content creator, that's going to make me a better practitioner, that's going to help me make you guys a better practitioner. This stuff that apparently I can put in a YouTube video, but you guys get what I'm saying. And like, answer these questions. What is always said that makes a good coach? What blows up on social media? Why, and if any, why is there a disconnect, right? Just some food for thought. The main point, second to last slide, is that it matters that you've been there, done that to your athletes, to your followers, to your listeners, likes, subscribers, whatever it may be, right? And this is one thing that hit me, and this is why it's kind of frustrating, because I have not been there, done that, apart from playing college baseball, apart from coaching for 3 years in sports performance, and being a sports scientist for 2 years. And that's the content that I create and I speak on because I've been there and done that. And do you think that if I don't want to put any pro athletes on blast because, like, obviously they're pro athletes, but let's just say whatever pro athlete. Do you think that they get 100,000 followers on YouTube because they make amazing content? Or do you think they have 100,000 followers on YouTube because they're a professional athlete? You know, think about how much traffic they get from just their social media, right? To go to their podcast, to get their followers to go to their podcast, to go to their YouTube page, to get and go do all this other stuff. Because they are who they are, because they've been there, done that, because they have something that all of us want. And I think that that's another reason why we consume content, right? Because we're all striving for something. So it matters that they've been there, done that, because they've achieved what we want, and that matters. So, and even with jobs, for some internships or even jobs as a sports performance coach, they put in the job description college athletes or ex-college athletes preferred, right? Because if I'm little Matt coaching little Johnny, right? And the dad walks in, he's like, "Oh, hey, nice to meet you." Da da da. Oh, Johnny's a baseball player. You're a baseball player. I'm like, "Oh, yo, varsity baby, crushed it." I don't whatever region conference award that I didn't get. He's gonna be like, "Oh, geez, like, yeah, whatever. Who's this guy? What does he know about baseball? I played high school baseball too." Da da. Or if his dad comes up to me, he goes, "Oh, little John's baseball player, you're a baseball player too, right?" I go, "Oh yeah, I just finished my career playing at Truman State University's Division II." Yeah, "Oh, that's really cool." Like da da da. "Oh, I went to the D2 College World Series my freshman year. It was sweet. I played against some guys that got drafted. Da da da." And I've been there, done that, because he wants little Johnny to play college baseball one day. And you get these really good coaches, you get these really successful bodybuilders, you get these really successful athletes, and people consume their content because they've been there, done that. They've achieved what they want themselves. And they can literally speak on the intricacies of making it through the minor leagues, right? Because they literally went through the minor leagues. This sounds super basic, but think about it, it makes sense. And it's cool that that's not like, there's all these stories and little intricacies, like I said, that would never otherwise be told, that you would never otherwise listen or hear, get to experience, if it weren't for social media and content creation and stuff like that. And that's why I said, I'm going to keep going back to it, that social media is really cool. There's a lot of really cool content out there, right? But I just want to critique the things that I think could get better. Now, the next main point is, like, be critical of the content you consume and the content you create. If you're just going to consume the flashy stuff, the stuff that looks cool, then your mind, whenever you're working on your own, is, "Oh, what flashy drills can I create? What's going to give me likes on social media, et cetera, et cetera." But if you're consuming content of coaches encouraging you to experiment on your own, to try to master the basics, to try to figure out the runway of progressions and regressions of something basic like a trap bar deadlift, things like that I'm just making up, then that's going to shift your whole workout, right? And those are relevant things that you as a sports performance coach are going to apply whenever this quarantine stuff is over, right? When you get back with your athletes. So so just as much as we create the lens of social media that we consume, that social media creates the lens in which we think about everything else. Think of how we frame the content that we could create, right? Or however we're going to apply that content, right? Because, like I said, if we're consuming this content to become better practitioners, right? Then that social media is going to create a lens in which us as practitioners will apply that information and that material. And I think that's a very important point. And my final point now, because we know that it matters that you've been there and done that. So what does that mean? That means go out and do, experiment, learn, and then talk about it, right? I've recently gone on my own fitness journeys. I got into Olympic lifting right after I got my USAW, and it was just like a cry once it hit me. I was like, I am not a good Olympic weightlifting coach, right? Like my coworker Erwin, who I'll have on here one day if he's listening, he's a way better Olympic weightlifting coach than I am. But at the end of the day, I'm certified and he's not. So what do? I picked up Olympic weightlifting, right? Now, I was a little bored because I just graduated, so I needed a new little hobby, right? But it was a functional hobby that helped me become a better coach. And I became a 100% better, 150% better Olympic weightlifting coach by Olympic weightlifting on my own for the next semester at school, the next just 6 weeks at school, than I ever could have just going to the 2-day seminar. Now, I'm not trying to hate on the certification, right? Let's not go there. But then uh, I messed around with a little bit of powerlifting, right? Because my strength was holding back my Olympic lifts, and I had a coworker I was fortunate enough that's a world champion powerlifter. I learned from him. I dug into Mike Teixeira's stuff. I learned a little bit about Westside stuff. You have Juggernaut training systems, and I powerlifted for myself. Then I have a coworker who is a competitive bodybuilder. Super cool. One day I was just like, hey man, can I work out with you? He was like, sure. First thing is like 3 by 15. And I'm just complaining the whole time because I can't remember the last time I went, above 6 reps on purpose on something. But I bodybuilded, I bodybuilded with him for a semester. I dug into Renaissance periodization and Mike Isertel. I dug into Eric Helms. I dug into Jeff Nippert, if you guys know who those people are. Guys that I believe are really good content consumers. Their stuff isn't super flashy. Their stuff isn't inauthentic in how they market it. They create really good content. They have really good stories. They've all been there, done that, right? This is a point I want to say earlier. That's why bro science is a thing. Why do you listen to the biggest guy in the gym? Because he has what you want. Mike Isertel is massive, right? He's really smart, he's funny, and he's relatable, But then I went down the bodybuilding path for a little bit. Now, with this quarantine stuff, with my limited equipment in my basement right now, where I do my home workouts, CrossFit can kick your butt if you know what you're doing and you know how to create workouts. And I have a friend who's a competitive CrossFitter, right? Got some advice from them, some insights. I've been consuming content of good CrossFitters, you know. And now in my back pocket, in my practitioner overalls, I have better experience on how to coach and program for Olympic lifting, for a strength block, powerlifting, for a general preparation hypertrophy block, and now let's just call it conditioning, right? To keep a general sports performance. And I hope that you guys have the critical thinking skills to apply this to whatever facet of sports performance you're in, right? And if you're kind of confused, let me know. I'd love to try to, make this more relatable to your situation. And now I can talk about my experiences, what I learned, because I've been there, I had so many misconceptions about all four, facets of performance and training, stuff like that, until I actually was there and did that. And I can talk about how I body built for 4 months. I now understand what cutting and bulking is like that I never otherwise would have understood. Not that I'm a nutritionist or a RD or, whatever, but I get it. I can relate. I can speak that language. I mention that a lot because that's super important. Whatever lingo it may, if I get some CrossFitter comes into a gym I might own one day, I can speak their language. If they would just want to use some of the equipment a few times a week, whatever, I can speak that language. How cool is that, right? If there's a random athlete, right? So this is just like picking up a new sport, just joining a league for a year. Like you get that lingo, and that goes a long way because people feel related to, relatable. They feel connected, right? And they feel not crazy. Like people get it. People get me. So don't want to overstate that. Last slide. What I believe. There's two things I believe, right? One thing I believe is that you will never hear about the people doing the best stuff, right? There is awesome stuff going on. Not that I personally know. I hear this from smarter people, and I believe it because I believe they're credible and they put out good content. People that I have phone calls with. Sports science in this context, because I've had some sports science phone calls recently. There is awesome sports science going on in D3 sports, NAIA schools, stuff that you will never hear about because one, they're really good at what they do and they don't care about social media following because they're not in it for the big names, right? That's probably why they're at a small school. Or because are you gonna listen to the sports scientists from Monmouth College, from Iowa Central Community College? Probably not. If you see sports scientist of Clemson football, yeah, I think we're all gonna click on that stuff. So that's one thing I believe is that you can't take what's out there necessarily as the best there is. It can be pretty good, and there's a lot of good stuff out there, like I said. But I believe that you'll never hear about the best stuff because it's just you just never know. I hope that point made sense. I didn't sum that up very well. The second thing I believe, and I'm going to read this quote from Mike Israetel at RPDR Mike, Renaissance Periodization Dr. Mike. I love his stuff. I think he's super funny. He was on The Art of Getting Stuff Done. There was a swear word instead of stuff, but The Art of Getting Stuff Done podcast with Carolyn McDonald. Really awesome episode. I enjoyed it a lot. For the quote, people are always looking for good things. If you are good at what you do, there's an army of people waiting to find you. End quote. Dr. Mike Israetel. So basically, if you're good at what you do, you'll have success. And that is what I firmly believe. And that's why I think it's just a matter of time. And hopefully it starts with this podcast, helping you develop your critical thinking skills on the lens in which you consume social media. That the people that make really good content, right? The people that make content that helps their consumers become better practitioners in sports performance, they will always be making content because there's an army of people, right? You included, an army of people that are craving content to make them better sports performance practitioners. How cool is that, right? And sometimes people just, the army goes to the wrong part of whatever fight analogy, So this is why you have to take ownership of your own social media content consumption. Like I said, because it's going to create the lens in which you then view everything else, right? So if you're good at what you do, you'll have success. And I forgot, I think I got this this example from Eric Helms' Iron Culture podcast, right? They're talking about Mike Chang's six-pack shortcuts. Y'all remember that? However many millions of views he got, 6-minute abs shortcut, 1 week, whatever his marketing scheme was. I watched the videos. He doesn't want a six-pack shortcut. And when's the last time you saw his stuff? However many years ago, you know? So if you're good at what you do, right? I'll try to sum this up. If you're good at what you do, you'll have success because there's an army of people waiting to find you. If you're marketing your stuff authentically, right? If you're creating purposeful content, if you can speak from true experience, right? If you know how to frame it in a way that'll help the consumer become better practitioners, because that's why we're all here, right? I create content because I want you to become a better practitioner because you want it for yourself, and I respect that, right? So if you set yourself up for success in the content you consume, and you set others up for the content, your content that they consume, right? Then I think we're just all going to accelerate and use this social media to the best of our ability. That's my rant. Content creation, social media fame and popularity, how it relates to you as a coach. That was fun. That was a rant. Appreciate you sticking with me. If you have any questions, anything you want me to flesh out further, anything that didn't make sense, I'd love to answer it. I know that it was probably a little confusing to follow along at times, but like I said, I'd love to make another video, another podcast to help you understand this a little bit further. I think this is super important because it is a part of our everyday lives. Think about how many times you check your phone a day and open social media. Hundreds. I want to help you become the best practitioner you can be, and that starts with, in this context, your social media consumption. So hope it helps. Let's get better together. TSP, the Talking Shop Podcast, episode 54.